All right, so in this video, I want to give you a little pretext as to what I have done up until this point so that you can understand that I don't have any necessary advantage in most ways above anybody else that would be getting started. There are a few things I may have an advantage on. The first thing is that I have been a graphic designer since 2008. The second is that I have experience in running a business since 2008. Now, my business has been different. It has looked different throughout the years. So when I started, I was a graphic designer, and then I ventured into photography, and then I did solely photography for 10 years. I had a studio. I was a very successful portrait photographer, but I decided to close because I was pregnant with my son, who was my fourth child. I was spread too thin, and I just could no longer do it all on my own, and I didn't want my reputation as a professional photographer to suffer. I also didn't want my children to suffer as well. So if something was going to give, it was going to be my business and not my kids. So in 2018, I closed my doors after 10 years, and I was ready to move on, and that ended up working out really well because my son ended up being born and having some really tough times during those first few months of life. He has a congenital heart defect, which I'm not going to go into right now, but so it ended up being a blessing in disguise because I felt like I would not have been able to sustain my business long term with what he ended up needing after he was born. So with that being said, since then I had gotten into doing all sorts of other things, from watercolor paintings to resin pouring and just kind of anything and everything that I was creatively inspired to do. And so since then, I've sort of formulated myself into going into some sort of consistent business, and that's looked different over the last, it's 2024 now, so since 2018. So for example, at one point I had gotten into doing print on demand and scanning my watercolors and taking my digital Procreate art and trying to make things out of that in order to put it on a print on demand item so that I could sell it. So while I do have some previous experience with print on demand, I was never successful at it. I think I sold a whopping $3 in stickers. And while my designs have remained out there, they really haven't gotten any traction. I haven't spent any time on them. You know what? That's not true. Recently, and this is what inspired me to go back into doing print on demand and my Etsy store, I earned, it was like $80 some on Spoonflower for a design that someone had bought some wallpaper for. And so that's kind of what made me decide, you know what, I should really give this a try, because doing these art markets that I do, it's really difficult to do that in the hotter months of the year. And especially when my kids are home for the summer, I want to be able to spend time with them, and you know, we've got bills to pay, so I definitely need to be contributing to those, and I can't just not work. So with that being said, some of the additional experience that I may have is that I also ran my Etsy store before. I believe I opened my Etsy store around 2011 or 12 maybe. I suppose I could actually look at that and let you know, which I will at some point. But so I have accumulated over the last, say, 14 years, over 300 sales. And those sales have been anywhere from custom sewn dresses to a couple of wreaths that I made when I first got on Etsy, digital downloads for 100 Days of School, SVGs for people to make the 100th day of school t-shirts for their kids and that sort of thing. So I have a lot of those kind of sales, as well as photographer templates from when I was a photographer. So that was kind of just extra little side money, because I would make something for myself and I'd be like, oh, I'll put this on Etsy because if I find it useful, other portrait photographers will too. So I would do that, and people would buy those and whatnot. So I do already have over 300 sales over the last 14 years though. So I don't know if that's going to help me with any Etsy traction or not. We'll find out. But having a previous background in graphic design, I did a lot of web design, which included SEO and making sure keywords were good, and that I had optimized everything as fully as I could. And so I'll be taking that into what I show you that I do with Etsy, and we'll see if it ends up working out. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that I don't have money to sink into this. I have some money, but it usually goes towards my van payment, and then I save it for taxes. So with that being said, the money that I am putting into this is all going to be on a credit card, which is very nerve-wracking to me because I do not like debt. And so I recognize that not everybody's going to have the money or a credit card available to necessarily put into investing in their own business, but I do have that. Maybe that's an advantage, I don't know, but I'm still going to be having to pay off these credit cards with the money that I earn. So let's hope that, you know, I am building this so that I am earning. And I think, oh, the other thing, my computer is 10 years old. I have a MacBook Pro 15-inch, I think it is, and I have two monitors. I have my laptop right here and my big monitor here. This is the one that I usually do the working on because my design work looks better on my actual laptop because it's one of those Retina displays, whereas my regular thing here is not. So so I do have a really old computer. It randomly shuts down for no reason. It can be rather slow, especially if I'm working in Illustrator or Photoshop or both at the same time. And so yeah, I think that's pretty much it. In my next video, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've already done, as well as some of the services that I've looked into, some of the people that I'm looking to for help and advice, and we'll see if that goes anywhere. So again, I'll see you in another video very soon. Bye.